Police officers and first responders wear badges to let their communities know they are here to protect and serve. But it comes at a price. Samantha Horwitz and John Salerno work with police departments across the country to bring valuable recovery, insight resources, and workshops. A Badge of Honor TV brings those professionals to you so we can come together and revitalize communities through a better understanding of what's at stake and what's required for repair. So take a load off and turn up your TV. It's about to get real.
Hey, welcome everybody to A Badge of Honor TV with John and Sam. It is once again Mental Health Monday, and man, we are going to get mentally healthy today with our guest. Today's going to be a powerful episode. I don't know if we should give a disclaimer real quick. You know, when we talk about ACEs, when we talk about childhood sexual traumas within men and women, you know, if this is a trigger point for you, you know, maybe you want to come back and listen to it at another time. But, you know, this is where we get real. This is where the healing starts. And our guest today, man, has a powerful story. Shares in kind of in lines with mine. When I was younger, I was sexually abused as a child for 2 years by a family member, and it didn't resonate with me. I held a lot of deep issues in throughout elementary school, junior high, and so forth. Didn't let it go. I didn't let it come out until about 40 years later. And then all those other traumas from being a first responder, it was like opening up Pandora's box. So that's why we want to nip this in the bud. We want to heal you before you get to that point, because it is a very dangerous point to start releasing everything at once. Slow steps, easy steps. So Sam, this is going to be very powerful.
Yeah, thank you, John, for being so open and vulnerable right out of the gate. I know you share your stories with the first responders, the workshops, and everybody that we work with. I think you just shared all over the world where this show goes. So I appreciate that. And you know, one of the biggest things that we see and that we address in our workshop are the childhood ACEs. It's a score. If you get treatment from a practitioner that uses a scale, you answer a lot of questions, and it certainly has an impact on first responders and veterans that finally realize, hey, I'm the way that I am because of something that happened in my childhood. And I'll say from somebody who did not experience this, but that has listened to a lot of stories, including our guest tonight, is not only, I mean, hugely impactful, number one, but it helps us to understand and to realize, hey, how do we help communities that and people that, you know, if we've got people being trafficked that we hear about every single day. How do we help folks open up at the right time instead of hold it in for 20, 30, 40 years? So they're full grown adults, maybe have already retired from their career, and they're like, oh, you know, and some of them lose families over it. And so what I think we're now is we are going to bring in a gentleman, Dr. King, Dr. John. Yes, I'm surrounded by Johns tonight. that has done the really hard work, just like John here, to realize that this kind of stuff this sexual trauma doesn't have to crush you. It doesn't have to ruin you. And we want to help everybody watching and listening tonight. If this happened to you, we want to explain the pitfalls so that you can go around them instead of fall into them. So without further ado, Dr. John King, welcome to A Badge of Honor TV.
Welcome, Dr.
G'day,
John.
folks. How are you? Great to
How
be
are
here.
you?
Thank you very, very much. I'm great, mate. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, I'm great.
I love that, mate. I love it.
Well, as you can hear, John is not originally from the States. And before we dive in deep, can you please tell everybody watching and listening on their favorite podcast app a little bit about you and your background?
Sure. I am from way South Texas. So I'm actually I'm what we would call Umbrani, or an Indigenous Australian. So from the Red Centre, my tribe is the Warramungu. My skin name is Jungarai. So my story starts there. Well, it's interesting. My story doesn't start there, because that part of my story I didn't know until about 2 years ago. Because in Australia, under a government policy to breed the blackout, they would take kids out of families and forcefully adopt them into Europeans' families. And that's part of my upbringing. And the people who raised me in Australia were the ones who abused and trafficked me for about 12 years.
Wow.
So I resonate with you, John. I understand what it's like for life to turn into a cluster, as it does for a lot of men in their 40s, when their brain decides to vomit their memories all over their very pristine, outwardly successful lives. It's a challenge.
Yeah. And now, when you said blackout, what is it? What? Just explain again what that is.
So in the amongst Umbrani, or Indigenous Australians, melanin is a recessive gene. So by the time you get to the third generation of what would be called half caste, for want of a better term, they are blonde-haired and brown-eyed boys, as I was. So the government policy, in an attempt to eradicate the Umbrani, or the Aboriginal culture, was to either rape the women or pull babies that were half caste off their parents and place them with European families. So there would be a dilution of culture and a loss of language. And so that was part of the program. And it was a government policy. As part of their White Australia policy, or their Breed the Blackout policy, for a lot of years.
Oh, I never knew that. I never, ever knew that.
If you look up something called The Stolen Generation, there's a great movie called The Rabbit-Proof Fence, which great in terms you'll get a box of tissues, mate, because it's a Kleenex moment. And have a look at that. The movie with Hugh Jackman and Nicole Kidman, called Australia, touched on it a little bit. But the Rabbit-Proof Fence is, in fact, those people, some of the people that you know there, I know their aunties and uncles Aboriginal way to me. So that was our experience growing up.
With young kids, it's always a stigma, boys and girls alike. We repress that memory out of fear, out of shame, out of embarrassment. There's a lot of things that go on in a child's mind when something horrific like this happens. So then when we hit our teenage years, or even our adolescent years, elementary school, I know that's when I started acting out. And my teachers diagnosed it as, my family went through a divorce. So like, oh, well, it's a divorced family. He's just a young boy acting out because he misses his father. And that's what I believed for the longest time. And now in my 50s, I look back and I can almost timeline and trace, going, wow, if somebody would have seen, or so I was developing the signs, but nobody approached.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important for parents out there, teachers, nurses, to recognize the signs of abuse in any child and question it. Don't be afraid.
Yeah, that's a good point. I remember I was 7 and I ran away to the neighbor's place and told them what was happening to me. And the woman there, cuffed me around the head and dragged me back and said no woman would ever do that to her son. And it was probably 40 years before I ever mentioned it again.
Yeah.
And I think it's important. I think it's important to be able to have those conversations. But if you're later in life, like you and I, and we haven't had that opportunity, and now here we're faced, and our brain just says, you know what, I need to reorganize this. I need to reorganize this cabinet. Vomits it all over your life. Yep. And it's a lot more common than people even talk about. And I think it's really important. I think that's one of the things I like about what you're doing, is it's really important to have those conversations, particularly amongst first responders and tip of the spear guys. A lot of my mates are, they're tip of the spear war fighters. And in amongst that very very thin layer, I'd say probably 70 to 80% have had some sort of level of extremely traumatic childhood experience because they made a decision, you'll never hurt me or mine again. And they became hardened men and came back. I've talked to a lot of guys that did some horrendous things, and that never worries them. What they can't reconcile is the fact that they couldn't protect themselves as a 6 or 7-year-old boy. And that's you can't get good fruit off a bad tree. And, I'm sure you've experienced the same when talking to military people or first responders. They don't share what happened as a kid because that's a pre-existing condition. And the benefits, pension, and healthcare are all tied up with it. At least I know that's the case in the military, guys. I know.
Yeah.
And it's the transparency that helps so much. And I remember, Sam, we were doing a workshop, and I don't want to say where, but it was in Texas. And I shared this story probably in front of maybe 15 law enforcement officers. And at the end of the workshop, one of the officers came up to me. He was a 35-year veteran, came up to me, and he said, it happened to me and I never told anybody.
Yeah.
And he said, once he heard the story coming out, it gave him the courage and said, I can do this too. And I hope it healed him. I hope it brought some sort of closure to his experiences. But that's what it takes. It takes, like yourself and all of anybody who went through these experiences, to share them without embarrassment, without shame, because you don't know who you're helping.
Yes, that's great, John. That's great.
It is so, and again, I'll just say from hearing it from men, pouring your hearts out to other men, it really is like, I think that when that barrier can be broken, it opens it up for healing across the board for everybody. So we got to take our first break. When we come back, we are going to take a little bit of a deeper dive into Dr. King, your website and exactly what you do to help people recognize and open themselves up a little bit in a safe space to do that. So we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US-based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever, every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Hey, and we got real quick, John, we got a special promo going on that I'm running at the bottom of the screen, everybody, through the whole commercial. So switch to Patriot Mobile now and get a free month of service. That means you can try Patriot Mobile out. Free month of service with offer code BADGE. So go to patriotmobile.com /badge. That is the promo code, or call 972-PATRIOT and tell them a Badge of Honor sent you. Go ahead, John.
All right, so welcome back. And before we took our break, we were talking about ACEs, which is acute childhood experiences, and it doesn't always have to be a sexual experience. It could be a domestic issue. It could be violence within the home. It could have been something you've experienced that traumatized you as a child that later on in life is going to come out one way or another, either in anger issues, alcohol, drug, or worse. Then, Dr. John's going to explain to us some of the modalities and some of the treatments that are available to everybody, because as we get older, we are going to experience more trauma, especially as a veteran or a first responder, and we're going to compound those traumas on top of the childhood trauma. And once we open up that box, we want to be able to make sure that we can secure all those traumas in a safe environment and in a proper way and in a healthy way. So, Dr. John, I know you have so much to bring to light on this subject.
Well, thanks, mate. So we run a non-profit, and we're involved in anti-human trafficking and trauma recovery. So we were involved in the tail end of the Epstein case and the guy who took over his network, Niger. And what I noticed when we were dealing with that is we had about 12 people under, civilian protective custody in the US, trying to get them arraigned and get into the court system to deal with the Niger case. Is that these kids, even though by then they're in their early 20s, were just repeat offenders and engaged in a range of risky behavior as a result of PTSD, PTSI. And I started to look at the fact that even though we could get them to court, Niger would be involved, they could tell their stories, these kids were so broken, it was going to take decades for them to get whole. And I looked at my own life. My recovery process is probably 15 years. And to be honest, it's only the last 2. I feel I've got my feet under me. I'm 62 now. And I started to think about what it would take. And I've been in a blessed position to be able to spend, probably 10 years and $200,000 or $300,000 on recovery. And not everyone has that opportunity. So what we've done is we've taken all of that information, and that's part of the Phoenix Collective that you saw online, Sam, is we tried to make it so that recovery can be obtainable. I just believe you should be able to feel like you've got your handles around this thing in about 18 months, because anyone can do 18 months to totally change the course of their life. And so I don't know how much you want to dive in. I can take you through some of the things. Everything I've done in my own life has been deliberately non-pharmaceutical and has been low cost, because it had to be low cost to be sustainable.
It's funny you say the pharmaceutical aspect of this, and yours was all non-pharmaceutical, right? You said?
Yes, it does. I've got no problems if people want to take weed or mushrooms. I've got no challenge with that. Like mushrooms, I've found in my own life have been somewhat helpful. Microdosing. I didn't want to see unicorns fart rainbows.
No. I'm talking about not that pharmaceutical. I mean, yes, those do work. They've definitely had some success with it. I'm talking about the regular prescribed pharmaceuticals that they keep trying to dump down your throat as adolescents, as young adults, and everything else. And I think we're just masking the issues. Your modalities seem to have a higher success rate than staying on a medication for 10, 15 years and then getting a different one to combat this one, and they keep you strung along.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. So when I talk about THC, medical marijuana, one of the challenges I had with THC when I tried it was that it would actually induce incredible anxiety and paranoia. And THC normally does that with people with PTS. So there are a group of people that find it a positive response. They get a positive response. But after a period of time, it seems to taper off. I never got into the opiate side of things because that would always bring on hallucinations and flashbacks that I'd end up locked in for days and I was reliving hell again. And that just wasn't worth it. So I had to come up with some different solutions. And the first thing I noticed was my diet. I was actually in, I believe it was Chicago. I was preaching in a church at the time. And I landed, this was after my recall in 2008, and I was having a great day. And I landed, got there in after the restaurant had shut, checked in, brilliant day, no food available, picked up some Cheetos, some M&Ms, and a Diet Coke. Went up to my room. Late night food. Up to my room, ate them, and 20 minutes later, I was sobbing, looking down into the atrium, suicidal. And I had enough of the self-awareness to stop and hang on, listen. What happened between checking in and now? What were those things? I had no contact with anybody. I walked straight to my room. I ate these snacks, and I started to want to end my life. It was red food coloring. It was orange food coloring, and it was sugar. And when I started to do the research on the level of anxiety caused by sugar, by orange food coloring and red food coloring, all of those things called depression and anxiety. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to have to change the way I eat. And I know it sounds simple, and it is, but it's probably the single most important starting place in my own recovery.
Wow.
Was understanding that what I was fueling with myself was actually fueling my trauma.
Yeah, a lot of this is starting to come to light, the food dyes and everything with our change in administration, and just personally from my own kiddo, if he would eat anything with a red or blue dyes, we have bouncing off the walls, and I remember my husband saying, "What in the world?" He just ate Jell-O, and I'm like, "No, time out. He didn't just eat Jell-O, And it is as soon as you know,
Yeah.
and when you can eliminate it, then you start looking at other things. Well, gosh, what can this do? But sugar is a thing, and not Dr. John. John and I talk about a lot of first responders, and it's not a popular subject. I'm going to say it right now. Are these energy drinks loaded
They're terrible
with sugar and chemicals that are horrible for you? And we see it 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to get through shift, depending on what shift. Right. And it is just a toxic loop that affects not only your body, but your brain.
So staying on the food topic, if you want to address about 60 to 70% of your issues, here's just a very simple plan for you. Jordan Peterson talks about this in some of his work. Go to bed at the same time every night. And I understand with shift, it's a little bit different, but you can get the ideas. You're on day shift, it's one way, night shift's the other. Go to bed every time. It's the same time. Get up at the same time. Your very first meal needs to be high fat, high protein, low carbohydrate. If you will just do that alone, that'll solve somewhere between 50 to 70% of anxiety, depression, and PTSD-related manifestations or exhibits. Just that alone. So I'm taking out the artificial stuff. I'm eating a very straight and simple diet. So you do that. On top of that, add 10 or 20 minutes in the sunshine. Take your shoes off, put your feet on the ground, get in touch with the frequency on the earth, or hug a tree. I'm a bit of a tree hugger. Nowadays, I very much am. I'm not going to punch my own man card for that crap. So hug a tree, sit in the sun. If you're a guy, drop your jacks and sit there and roast your glory, because that's actually going to boost your testosterone, believe it or not. It's a bit embarrassing for my wife when the neighbors are watching over the fence. But if you can sit there in all your man glory with a cup of coffee, smoking a cigar preferably, reading your Bible, best 20 minutes in a man's life just there.
That sounds like the George Burns guide to living long and happy.
Exactly.
Yeah, there we go. Except George Burns had whiskey, so we're not going to go to alcohol, especially first thing in the morning. That can be later. But when we come, you hit on some amazing things. When we come back, I want you to touch on. We're going to come back, and I'm just going to be quiet and let you guys talk, because you have a distinct focus on men and how you specifically help them. And there's a lot of things, again, on your website. I'll put that up there. So when we come back, I want you guys will all talk about it. Well, you guys will talk. I will listen about that in more specificity. So we will be right back after these messages.
Look, when you need to respond to an aggressive situation to protect yourself, your family, or your property, understanding your firearm and legal position are critical. Officers know your skills are only as good as your commitment to training. So know what you're doing. So when you're in a vulnerable situation, we can count on your response. Whether you're a beginner or a licensed gun carrier, Carry in Texas offers basic firearms training, Texas permitless carry courses, license to carry, and basic 2A courses so you can understand the responsibilities, situational awareness, and learn the technical skill required when you carry your firearm. Go to carryintexas.com to find the right course for you. Join me, former United States Secret Service agent Samantha Horwitz, on the range for beginner basics, LTC prep, and range practice. Go to carryintexas.com today. That's carryintexas.com.
Hey, welcome back to A Badge of Honor TV with John and Sam and our very special guest, Dr. John King. Before we took our last break, we were talking about the chemistry of the body a little bit and the food that we intake, which has a huge effect on our stress levels and how we handle those stresses. And John, when you were talking about the things, the high protein, the low fats, the high protein, the high
Both
protein,
high protein, high fat, and very
low
important.
carbohydrates.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. When we look at a lot of our first responders and our military veterans, they're grabbing a processed egg sandwich that they throw into the microwave as they're running out the door. They're grabbing just junk for breakfast. They're stopping at a QT or a 7-Eleven and buying these, taquitos and all this garbage that they're putting in their body before their shift. They're not starting their day right. And chemistry has so much to do with how the rest of your day is gonna, how you're gonna perform the rest of the day. I'm guilty of it. I'm sure we all are guilty of it, but that's on us. And if we can, like you said, 50 to 60% change the way our mindset is just by what we put into our bodies naturally, that's a huge step.
It is. And I think the fundamental question is, how much do you value yourself? And how important do you think that you should be at the top of your game? I got one of my closest friends is an LT here in Texas, and we're gym rats together. And that brother gets up and cooks every morning. Every day he prepares it. I'm an old gym rat bodybuilder, so it's every mouthful, every meal, every day. There's no excuses. And you can do it, man. Sunday afternoon was just meal prep for the week. Knock it out and it's done. And it's just as easy to put your hand in and pick out a bowl of food that's already been prepared, chicken and broccoli or whatever it is, as it is to put your hand in the freezer and pull out a frozen sandwich.
Right.
It's just the mindset. Once you decide that you're worth it, once you decide that your family is worth it, then it becomes a family activity and you'll find the time. And I think that's really important, John. It's a mindset.
And like you said, it's just it's just getting that prepping down, and it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much at all. Now, granted, everybody's an individual, so everything is gonna trial and error with each person.
Yeah.
So you have to find out what's right with you. But like John's saying, if you know you're worth it, your family's worth it. Take that extra 15, 20 minutes to prep that meal, to prep those meals for the week.
So what a burger. Go in there in the morning, ask for 4 eggs scrambled. It'll cost you $4 and a couple of bits of sausage. You're up for $6. It's cheaper than a burger to go. In-N-Out Burger, get one of their lettuce wrap burgers. Chick-fil-A, get just the chicken strips. Get a dozen of those things. Go into Costco's, pick up a barbecue chicken. It's really not the cost or the time. If you're on the run and you're doing it, it's the mindset that I'm going to guard my mouth like I guard my soul and my family, because I have to be at the top of my game. I am a professional. I'm going into a dangerous situation. And you just don't want to come off something where you've come off the high of a sugar crash and all the caffeine from a Monster drink or something, and you're gutting out and you're not at the top of your game. Your reaction's wrong. Your approach to people's wrong. You're already on edge because of those sorts of things. You can find reasons or excuses, and they really does come down to that personal choice. Do I believe enough in myself? Am I valuable enough to take the time to even go to a hamburger joint and make a better choice?
Yeah.
Now, like first responders and veterans, we are all like, we want immediate results, right? If it didn't work the first day, screw it. It's not going to work, right? But changing your body chemistry from what you've been doing for the last 10 or 15 years to change that doesn't take long at all. probably a week to 10 days, and you will feel a huge difference, correct?
Exactly.
Up here. Yep.
Exactly, mate. Look, like you'll probably see, it'll probably be 3 days, to be honest. If you will get up at the same time, go to bed, eat like we suggested, make a couple of wise choices. Here's a couple of other free things. Everyone's in the cold plunge. I don't want to spend $5,000 on a bloody cold plunge. So I'm going to have a 30-second to a 3-minute cold shower. Now, you know,
That's what he does.
it's a little bit intimidating if the wife's around. You got to hide the package before you're out the front door. You know, wrap some shorts up before you walk into your bedroom again. But it's a 30-second cold shower. Like, what pussy can't do that?
You know,
they need a new job.
It's funny. Me and Sam have been talking about this for like the last month. I told her that I started following the Winhoff theory a little bit.
Oh, bro, knock yourself out, man.
No, not in the cold plunges, but doing the cold shower.
Yeah,
so
okay,
perfect. I've been doing every day. I've been doing the cold showers. You know, I've been doing about maybe 3 days a week. Then I'll do warm because it's not really great for your skin all the time. So you break it up from hot and cold. But you know, my wife screams at me because she'll get in the shower. She's like, "It's freezing." You know, why did you turn it? You know, I forgot to turn it to hot. You know, but it does have an effect.
Cold showers increase your metabolism, lower your HRV, your heart rate, increase the blood flow through your mitochondria and your head and the health of your blood cells, and reduces inflammation. So once we understand that depression is inflammation that takes place in the brain, anything we can do to reduce inflammation reduces our anxiety, reduces our depression, reduces our symptoms of PTSD, PTSI. So and a high fat diet, high protein diet decreases inflammation, decreases depression, decreases anxiety. In the sun for 10 to 15 minutes, decreases inflammation. So now what you've got is your bio stacking these small incremental things. So if you do 5 of them and they all make 2% difference, now you're up to 10% change in life within 3 days, 3 to 5 days.
Which will make you in turn want to do more because now you're starting to feel better. So that's going to give you the energy to say, hey, and the positivity to keep moving forward.
Yes, it truly is amazing once you get that snowball effect, especially with being out in the sun and the grounding, which is something that I just dove right into that one. Before, I'm just looking at the clock, and I want to take our next break because I really do want to use more time to talk about exactly the work that you do and touch on the stuff on your website, Dr. John. So super quick, everybody. We talked about how you start your day. And well, me and John, we definitely have at least 1, maybe 2, maybe 5. I know cups of coffee. So it's really it's critical when we're talking about nutrition on what kind of coffee you drink. If you want decaf, you've got to get in a Swiss water method. You do not want your decaf to be any chemical processing. So John and I have taken a lot of years, and we came across Ben and Amanda Holmes at East Texas Legends Coffee. These folks are amazing. If you missed our show with them, you've got to hear their stories. So check it out. But East Texas Legends Coffee Company, founded by Ben and Amanda Holmes, reflects their journey from Ben's Marine Corps service and law enforcement career, overcoming PTSD, defining purpose in ranching. Relocating to an East Texas ranch, they identified a need for a local coffee brand. Now they're opening their first coffee shop in Lindale, Texas, rooted in faith, family, and community. Their mission is to inspire purposeful conversations over coffee. So you want to drink great coffee and be legendary. Right now, we have got a special going on. So go to etxlegendscoffee.com, use promo code BADGE for 15% off not only the delicious coffee, but their merch. And John and I have their merch. We'll come back on camera in a second. But again, 15% off with promo code BADGE. They'll ship directly to your door, all coffee and merch. So you want to get that, you just go and get it. It's their coffee is super awesome. And I'm just gonna take this off the screen so we can show you, like, we love our tumblers. So thank you, Ben and Amanda. We love your delicious coffee. It is fall. At least it's supposed to be fall in Texas. I don't know what the heck's going on.
Who knows? It's bloody Texas.
I know. I'm into the spiced maple. That's my jam. Kind of mix it up with that and Diablo, which is their dark roast. And it's delicious. So
I just sent my wife the URL so we can get some. Love them. Love their vision statement. Sounds like good people.
They are great people. Their coffee is phenomenal. And I promise you won't be disappointed. So thank you for that. You know, we have been talking about a lot. And Dr. John, I want to dive into some of the critical keys on your website that all of our listeners and folks watching tonight can take advantage of while you're talking about this stuff on your website, specifically related to, you know, healing the brain after trauma. I'm going to put your website up here. So the floor is yours, sir.
Well, thank you very much. So we do a couple of things. And so I took all of this information, these hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of stuff, 10 years, and we put it into a course, an app. We developed two apps. One's called the Phoenix Collective. The other one's called Wisdom OS. And our business partners on Wisdom OS are naturopaths. And so they handle the body's response under trauma and stress. We handle the brain's response under trauma and stress with the Phoenix Collective. And there's a program up there I want to encourage is for free for all of your listeners called the Mindfire Challenge. And it's a 4 to 5 week course that gives you a taste of frequency medicine, iridology, what it is to redefine normal. And one of the last episodes is purpose, mission, vision, and value. Because if you know who you are and where you're going to make decisions accordingly. A man without a vision perishes. And I think that's part of the challenge, but particularly when people come out of the military or out of police, it's like, well, who am I? I've been defined by this thing my entire life. Now I'm out. Now I've had recall of things, or I'm having trouble getting my hands around things. Well, how does that affect who I am? And I think part of those questions lay into the rate of suicide we have, some of the tragedies that we see within families, not only suicide amongst, say, police members, but one of the things I've recently been impacted by lately is the suicide of spouses and depression that's caused within families. And I'm overwhelmed with some of the situations I'm dealing with at the moment, just overwhelmed emotionally at the level of stoppable tragedy that could happen. And that really is the drive behind what we do in our nonprofit work, is there are answers and solutions for most of what can't say all, but I literally believe that anyone can get their handle around what they've got a challenge with. And so that's part of what we do and that's how the website's designed, to try and get that information to people.
Now you have something on your website called BrainTap.
Uh-huh.
And you and I spoke about this very briefly. Can you talk about that and how people can get their hands on the device?
Sure. There's a link on our page that they can do that. We're an affiliate member with them, and I think they get a discount for that. So what BrainTap does is it helps regulate your brain waves. So your brain's got to be able to sync left to right brain. And I know in my case, my frontal lobe, I need to qualify this. My frontal lobe did not work. I was locked in sympathetic all the time. Now, I say this because I've just had my test comes back after 2 years of being on BrainTap, and my parasympathetic is fully functional now. Whereas 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when I first got the results, the whole front of my brain was alive. It was dead. I mean, it just wasn't active. Nothing was firing. Nothing was working. Incredible stress. And what's happened is after the last 15 years, it started to all balance out and come back to normal. A beautiful blue brain is what they call it. So BrainTap's been one of the things that I've used. So as I grew up as a child, I because of what happened to me as a kid when I had recall, I'd get these horrible nightmares that would lock me in, and they'd turn into daymares. And I was walking around seeing these things that happened to me, the orgies, the movies they made, all this sort of stuff. I saw that stuff all the time. I couldn't escape from it. And particularly when I went to sleep, if I slept any more than 90 minutes, I'd get locked into a dream state and it would just become horrendous. So I'd set my alarm for 90 minutes, and I'd wake up every 90 minutes. And eventually at around 3 o'clock, when it would normally get really bad, I'd go to the gym and I'd have to have a sleep in the afternoon. So everything was off for me. I had no heart rate variability. I had no circadian sleep cycle, everything. I've spent 15 years doing that to survive. And with BrainTap, I've been actually able to regulate my sleep in a non-pharmaceutical way. And it's been tremendous. Now, I sometimes take beta blockers. Sometimes I'll have a gummy. But, that's probably once or twice a year.
Wow.
Now, let me have some, Dr. John, just for the layman out there, talking about the parasympathetic and the sympathetic and the prefrontal lobe. A lot of our people who wake up, who have post-traumatic stress, will wake up in a negative loop where they as soon as they open their eyes, it's a negative thought, and throughout the day, it's just like a record just skipping. It's negativity, negativity, negativity. Is BrainTap something that will break that loop or be able to get you out of that constant wave?
So I use BrainTap 2 to 3 times a day. And part of it is neuro-linguistic programming, reprogramming how you think about yourself and see yourself. So I'll cut to the chase and give everybody the $3 special on how to do it. A couple of things. The moment you recognize a negative thought is actually the moment you're starting to change a negative thought. So if you have a negative thought come up and you see it and you're dwelling on it and you're getting pissed because of it and you say stop, that's the moment your brain starts to rewire in a new direction. So anyone who's out there who's looping, if they will just get into a habit of going stop, 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 and you will be your voice is continually going in your head. You need to have the persistent nagging voice of going stop, stop, stop. And what will happen in about 2 to 3 weeks, your brain will it'll become less and less. Now, it's taken me 18 months of doing that, but I've trained my brain not to do it. Now, I still battle this stuff every day. But I would see BrainTap like red light therapy, sun therapy, cold showers as another tool for my toolbox. Whatever I need in my toolbox, I can reach into my toolbox and get it. And it's like a gun belt if you want to talk in police nomenclature. You can leave the house without anything in your holster and you're screwed. Or you can leave the house locked, belted up and ready to go, and you got the shit you might not need it. Oh, great. Today it's Wednesday. I haven't had to shoot anyone or pepper spray them. But it'd be really unfortunate if you did need to and you didn't have that stuff. It's the same with your toolbox. Yeah. And you know what you need. Like every 2 or 3 days, you have cold showers, then you don't, because maybe you're feeling okay. Now I'm at a stage where I don't necessarily have BrainTap all the time, but I do. I've got it there if I want to do it, and I can use it. And I think that's part of what we've got to do. There is no cure-all. No drug works. Nothing is a cure-all. This is a combination of small things that take you in incremental changes. So I'm a pilot. And how do you know I'm a pilot? Because if you give me long enough, I'm going to tell you. So as a pilot, it's been a while, but I'm still raving about it. So as a pilot, you know that if you take off from the airport and you're going to a destination, and I take a 1 or 2 degree deviation, give myself long enough, I'm way off where I'm supposed to be. And we spend 30 or 40 years, 50 years living as men, and we're deviating from our created purpose, and we're ending up somewhere we're not supposed to. What we want to do is we want to turn straight back and fly to where it doesn't happen that way. It's going to take you 1 or 2 degrees turn back in and to get back on track to where you want to go. And all of these things add up to incremental changes that will be lasting changes. If people are wanting a microwave result, then they're going to get crappy food and they're going to get crappy results. But if they're prepared to put the hard work in, they'll get it done, and it'll stick.
I love that analogy. That was powerful. And I don't think, I mean, for me to understand it, I'm sure everybody else could understand that. That was great. That was great.
Yeah, and again, all of this and further understanding through, there's lots of videos and articles to read are at Dr. John's website. So for those of you watching, you see it on the screen. For those of you listening on your favorite podcast app, it is drjohnaking.com. That's drjohnaking.com. And really just, you can hear the enthusiasm, because this is a guy who has been through stuff, who has been committed to his journey. And now he's committed to sharing it with everybody who will take their journey just as serious, because you deserve it. And if you're willing to do those little changes, and thank you, because you said the Mind Fire Challenge. So if you start with nothing, just, for the next 4 or 5 weeks, if we all make a commitment to just jump on and do the Mind Fire Challenge, it is the willingness to decide, I don't want to live like this anymore. I don't want to continue to hide from my true self. And once you're able to drop that backpack, it's weighing you down, you can live with a freedom that you've never felt before. And everything in your life increases exponentially. So when we talk about that 25 year career first responder, and at 20, you're kind of at the crossroads because there's not much, you're like thinking about retirement. You're not so connected to your purpose. We're talking about staying connected to your purpose your entire career. So you are giving of yourself to your community, in which you swore an oath to serve, but also you're able to give that to your family, to show up for your kids, to show up for your spouse, to show up for your friends, if you're not married, and be present. And I just take the time, go through Dr. John's website, decide what works for you, because it is that the information is just outstanding. And I can't thank both of you enough from coming on here right out of the gate. And again, just being open and vulnerable with your stories to just tell it like it is, tell it how it affected you as grown, confident men. We need more men to stand up and say, what happened wasn't okay. Now I have a past.
You on that point, I just want to, what's scary to all the guys that are listening to Sam right now, as a child, this becomes the norm. You normalize this throughout your life. And then you get to that point when you get older and you think this isn't normal, or somebody says something to you and says, you are off, or you got a gun to your head. You really realize that wasn't normal at all. That your whole lifespan, you've been, misguided, or you've been 2 degrees off. So, don't let this be your norm. You can change the way, just by identifying with yourself and being vulnerable and truthful and honest with yourself about things and experiences that have happened with you.
That's good, John. And, Samantha, Sam, just to be clear, like, if they want to come to the Mind Fire Challenge, it might be free, but it's going to cost them. It's going to cost them their excuses. It's going to cost them their reasons not to do something. It's going to cost them their time. They're going to have to turn up for coaching, group coaching, and it's going to cost them their vulnerability. So, it just depends on where you want to live. And John, to your point, at some point, we've got to redefine normal. Normal's been defined for us, and we've spent our life living from the outside in. People have told us, particularly in law enforcement or military, what to do, where to go, what to dress, what to believe, what to say, and what we think. And at some point, we get a midlife realignment where we've got to start living from the inside out. And we get this incredible opportunity. It's not an existential thing. It's this incredible opportunity to ask questions for the first time of who am I and what do I want? And if you've been through childhood trauma, a lot of that was ruined for you. And I know when I had John Ageddon, which was how my internal marketing department called my recall of what happened to me when I was 45. When John Ageddon turned up, I stopped being John 1.0. And now I was John 2.0. John 1.0 was very successful, very articulate, very focused. John 2.0, he wanted to be a poet, a poet and smoke cigars. Poetry and cigars, my therapy, still is. So you go through these changes in your life, and now you're this new person. You've had understanding of what's happened to you. You've gone through these traumatic things. What worked for you in your 20s is not going to work for you in your 40s or your 50s or your 60s. So you've got to stop. Someone's got to help you ask the questions. Who are you? What do you want? Where are you going? And let's redefine normal for you.
Wow.
Yeah. Powerful. That mic drop. On that note, we want to thank everybody watching tonight. Dr. John, thank you so much. Website again, drjohnaking.com, Dr. John A. King, and that's DR, drjohnaking.com. Get involved now and ask the questions. He's got to contact us. So thank you so much for coming on. Love your passion, what you're doing, because healing is a journey, and it just takes the first step to say, raise your hand and say me. Yeah. So thank you so much. We will definitely.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me back. When my book comes out, I'm going to ring you up and get to come on, and I'm going to launch it on the Badge of Honor. Deal.
That sounds awesome. I love it. Do we have a title?
It's called Deal With It, Living Well After Trauma.
Love it.
Okay.
We will have you back. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. John. This was fantastic.
Very much.
We'll be in touch. Take care.
God bless. Wow. That's
it is. Wow. Yeah. It takes, when you've been through stuff and you're ready and you're set to give back, and boy, is he giving back in one heck of a meaningful way. I'll just say, go on the website. You guys can read about the life-changing. He's got testimonials, but you're worth it. So take advantage of it.
I'm looking at the BrainTap thing right now, and I'm looking on which plan I want to get, because this, Sam, we're going into our second season, and, there's probably a handful of shows that really, when I sit here and I talk, impact me. This was probably one of the most powerful shows that we've had. Agreed.
And I have to apologize to our Instagram family. I have a green check mark, but I don't know what's going on again. I promise you will have the replay, because they're probably watching on Facebook. You have the replay up on Instagram tomorrow. Wherever you are watching, please hit that like and subscribe button. We need to get to that 1,000 on Instagram, so we don't have these weird interruptions again with our lives. So please hit that like and subscribe button. We talked about a lot, and we will for sure put up more information on our website about what you heard tonight. So our website at badgeofhonor.org. If you want to reach out direct, we got a contact us box. Hit us up there. All of the events upcoming. We just had a phenomenal, private workshop with a local PD in North Texas. If you want a private workshop, we will come to you. Our peer support leadership training as well. We've got an open workshop coming up in the beginning of December. Thank you, Garland Police Department, for providing the space for that. So you'll see that up on our website here soon. For all workshops, for all peer support leadership training, contact us directly. And who's got a book out? We're talking about books. Trent Fielder, we had him on earlier this year. He finally got Gunner Speak published. You can jump on Amazon. Again, it's Gunner, that's his dog, Speak. And it is written as if Gunner is telling the story. Trent is a very gifted writer, and it is heartwarming. You will need a box of tissues for this one, but please pick up his book and support. I think he's going to be swimming the second half of the Tennessee River next year. Next year.
Journey, man.
Yeah, it's all about hope.
Yeah.
So
inspirational journey.
Yeah. So that's Trent Fielder, his book. I promised I would mention it tonight. It's called Gunner Speak. I'm in the midst of it. It's very powerful. So pick up that. Pick up your coffee at East Texas Legends Coffee Company. Again, take advantage of that 15% off. And, to all of our first responders out there, you have got prayer warriors wanting to see you home safe every single night. Thank you for what you do, keeping our community safe. For our veterans, thank you for fighting the good fight that allows John and I to do a show like this every single week. And to all of our active duty personnel spread across the globe, thank you for keeping our shores safe here at home. John, take us home.
Man, just recapping what Dr. John said, you don't have to stay where you are. You can always move forward. If you're not happy, do not let your 20s define what you are in your 50s. Make the changes now. Set the path straight, and you'll live a nice, happy life. Don't let the 5-year plan after retirement kill you. Live a nice, happy life afterwards and enjoy what you worked for. And to all our first responders, thank you. Peace.
We'll see you next week, everybody. Take care.
A Badge of Honor podcast is produced for the OBBN Network podcast and protected under copyright law. For content permissions, please submit your request to abadgeofhonor.com on the content page. For OBBN Network programming information, please call 214-714-0495 to